From the high plains of the Midwest, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever your time zone might be. My nod to the late and great Art Bell. I'm Keith Sharp.
And I'm G. Dressel.
And we welcome you to Life After Life, a paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or the unexplained. And the biggest question of them all, what happens when we die? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. And then over there, and then over there.
Right.
Hey. All right,
Dude,
man.
Knocked it out of the park.
Welcome back, everybody. This is really cool. We're so happy to be back with you guys. And we got the great Matt Sullivan on.
Again, dude, thank you.
Well, we needed ratings, right?
Well,
so,
yeah. No, like,
boy, do we need ratings.
Well, hey, we were saying before the show, though, like, we go back a few years, man.
Yeah.
On this case. And this is just, did you want to do a disclaimer? By the way.
Oh yeah, I am going to do a quick disclaimer. This is about the murder of two little girls. There's SA involved in this, and there's one thing we have that's if just don't watch if this kind of thing bothers you. Like
well, I mean,
I don't feel like I should even have to say that we're true crime. Why do we have to apologize for? I don't get it.
No. I just
it's kind of silly.
You're the one that said you're going to do it.
No, I know, but I just at the same time
yeah. Well, because we're life after life, and we're about everybody that watches. We sincerely do,
absolutely, especially the families and all that, and
sometimes we have new people.
Well, like when we did Missy Beavers, all of a sudden her husband pops in the chat room.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, oh my God.
I mean,
we're sitting there saying, what was the husband's involved in this?
Well, I was kind of boasting a bit before the show to Matt, saying, like we've done over 100 episodes together, Keith. That's very.
We should have done more.
No, we're going to do more.
We're getting there.
But no, I was saying
we're going to move this to me and Garrett are going to make this we're going to start doing live events. Getting sponsors and doing that and having special speakers, may even fly Matt down, do some talking. And we're going to make big events out of this. So,
yeah. But I mean, we've been doing it for quite a while now, and we've had some amazing guests, and we're super lucky. But Matt's been with us, 4 going on 5 times?
Oh my God. Matt was with us in the very beginning.
With the Delphi,
he may have been the very first live we did.
Yeah. The Delphi situation,
because we used to do a podcast where we just recorded, and then when we went live, we did the Christmas, or not the Christmas, but the Halloween show.
Right.
I think Matt was our first guy.
Yeah.
But we love Matt. We support Matt, even though he has some crazy theories sometimes, huh, Matt?
Hey, but he's a hard worker, and he goes at things hard. So
absolutely. So we appreciate Matt coming on, and we love having him on. So let's bring him on. The great Matt Sullivan.
Get on in here.
Hey. Okay, Matt. So Matt, I was thinking the Delphi case is over. I thought that was it. We got Richard Allen. We did it.
Girls got justice. Family can.
And I tell you what, that defense team is so good that I have doubt in my mind.
So do I.
That he's responsible, and he may be somewhat responsible, but. I
go on, Matt. Go on.
It's honestly, when they first arrested that guy, I was sure, that there was going to be some kind of link to all of this, and that they had finally at least broke some ground. Rumors started coming out that this wasn't the guy, and I have friends that were involved in the lawsuit against Carroll County. And so they had kind of some inside information that was coming to me that all of this stuff was suspicious and didn't make sense. And I did not believe them, and I feel upset now that I was kind of hard on Angela and stuff. I love her. And, it's seeming more and more like a lot of what she said was absolutely true. These dirt bags really made a mess of this case. So
and then some. And we can talk about that a little bit later, especially with not gathering certain evidence, at the crime scene, the sticks, for instance. But hey, man, I put the questions aside. This thing's going to play out itself. So I've got the 136-page thing ready to go. If you want to talk about that or tell me a page, hopefully you've got it somewhere where about where it's at, and I can maybe skip to it.
Well, I think we should just maybe go through some of the statements, at least about the county and some of the things that they've botched. And maybe we can go over some of the information from the crime scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So.
very much so. Hey, God, I don't even know where to start. Where do you want me to start at?
Not even sure.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, just some of my notes. I mean, I'll go ahead and go through these notes. I mean, they may be out of sequence about what we're going to talk about, but
just go for it. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this has read that 136-page document. And what I thought was interesting, okay, the Purdue University professor who studied Odinism, okay, the state said that he said it was not connected. Then we find out, was it yesterday, Matt, or a couple days ago?
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I think it was late over the last 48 hours anyways.
Yeah, and they would not reveal this professor to the defense who it was. And they had to do their own searching. They found this guy, and he said that's not true. He thought it was cult related.
Yep, and not only that, I'm pretty sure Jerry Holman said under oath on his deposition that they didn't know the guy's name, but
Right.
we find out in the interview with this Turco guy or whatever his name is that they had known about it because he actually says, "Sorry that I haven't gotten a hold of you over the last month," or something.
Yeah.
So there was some statements that were made that kind of indicate that the state did know who this individual was and they were trying to reach out to him. So it's pretty suspicious.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, like, I read this document, and you know, one one thing is it's a legal document that the defense writes. They cannot lie in that document, and they're getting their information from the prosecution, law enforcement statements, and witnesses' statements. So if they say anything that's not correct, then they're in trouble. So
big trouble.
There's a lot of freaking mistakes on the state side, and a lot of hiding evidence. It sounds like, to just put this off on Richard Allen, get this thing done, and let's go to bed. Crazy.
Well, it kind of it really shows their ass, and it might explain why Diener recused himself. I think that there might have been some knowledge of some shifty things going on when they were doing the search warrant. That as soon as other people got involved, as soon as the defense was kind of hired, he knew, I need to step out of this. There's going to be some bad things coming up. So he gag ordered everybody and then recuses himself, kind of removing himself from the case. And I think it was prophylactic to kind of try to prevent him getting any criticism from the media and stuff like that.
Right.
So.
One thing I want to bring up too, and you can stop me, Matt, if like I said, I'm out of sequence, dude. I'm sorry.
Sure. No problem.
But it's just, I mean, when I was looking through the documents, I couldn't believe what I was reading. And and this Brad Holder guy, which I know he's suing everybody, which it's not in his best interest because he'll have to dispose if, I mean, at that point he can be questioned about anything if he starts suing people.
Exactly.
So be a very stupid thing to do. So I'm not even going to worry about using his name. But he posted pics of the ruins that matched the crime scene at the time. No one knew what the crime scene even looked like, right?
Yeah.
And some of those I wanted to show, if I can, a few of those pictures because they're just kind of crazy. Let's see, that's his foot. We'll get to that in a minute. But like, that looks like an asterisk, the way that is. And that was supposedly over Abbey, correct?
Yep.
And
there's another one too. He posts an image of his hand with that symbol on his hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
I think I have it. I can send it to you.
Okay. And I'm not sure what this is, Matt, up here. There's a couple sticks laying, if he's making a symbol or
just kind of some weird symbology. I'm sure if we looked at some Germanic runes, we'd find something that was similar to that.
Yeah. Okay, so what is this here we're looking at, Matt?
Well, I think that's the area of the crime scene, or pretty close to the crime scene. It's at least on Deer Creek. So
okay,
I just thought that was kind of suspicious.
Yeah, that's weird. And yeah, that's just, and then what is this all about? This big bruise on his.
Well, apparently he rolled on his ankle, only 2 weeks earlier, and so then law enforcement is asking us to take a look at the gait of the suspect walking on the bridge. It starts to make you wonder if they saw something
Oh,
there.
Yes.
that's what you,
Yes.
yeah, you
Yes.
said that. That makes
So,
sense.
maybe we can't see it, but I believe there's more to that video. There's a reason why they showed the suspect walking, why they released that video, because other than that, I can't think of any reason why they would be asking us to study the gait of the suspect.
Right. God, that makes
So
sense. So, okay,
yeah, it's
so
very weird.
let's see if we can cut to the chase. So what cleared Brad Holder? Do we know?
I'm not sure. I think that they just we know that they kind of investigated claims. There were several tips that were called in early on in the investigation, and there was someone in Facebook groups or something that turned his name in, and so he was brought in for questioning. But I don't think anything came out of it. The memorandum kind of describes um, the unified command sitting down with him and not really following up on anything. He said that he was at work and no one really looked into anything. There's no evidence that law enforcement ever went to his job and verified that he was working. Um, there's no evidence that they went to anyone who was surrounding this individual and questioned them about whether or not he was working either. So,
Wow. And also I saw something, I did some research and I found that he had, and I wrote this down, Brad Holder had pictures on social media of two women posed dead in the forest. Both women had sticks on their bodies, and one woman had her arms stretched out over her head, similar to the way Abby's body was posed. Is this
right.
correct?
So it's like this. I haven't seen it. I haven't been able to find it. He must have removed it, which would be even more suspicious because
That's crazy.
he would kind of, if he's removing that photograph, then he understands the relevance of it and pertaining to the investigation.
Did anybody
So
screen grab this thing by any chance? Because
I'm
it's
sure we will
hearsay
get a
now. I mean,
screenshot.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
Because
sure we will eventually.
okay, now Logan Holder, the son of Brad Holder, correct?
Hmm.
Supposedly dated Abby,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
He claims that Logan only met her once, but there are photographs of them together. And I just don't believe his statement.
what
It
was his
seems
statement?
his statement was that Logan only met her once and that he doesn't even know if he's ever met her before. But we know that he frequented Ron Logan's house. So he would have been in the area. There are rumors circulating that him and his wife broke up um, soon after the new year in 2017, and that he was staying at Ron Logan's at the time too. So there are all these connections to that land, to this individual, to Ron Logan. It would explain how Ron might be brought into this whole situation and why they would be early on in the investigation really looking into him hard, because a lot of this evidence really clearly pointed at Ron early on. And have to wonder why. Was Holder involved in trying to frame Ron up? Why would he bring the girls to the land?
Yeah,
The
and
suspect has to have a connection to that land. There's no reason to cross the creek unless there's some knowledge of that area.
and isn't it true that Ron Logan actually asked somebody to lie about his
Yeah,
alibi? Um, and this is before they found, like, he knew, it was almost sounded like he knew where the bodies were. I mean, they would find the bodies, but he's like, I gotta get the hell out of here for.
yeah,
So, okay, so there's a chance. What do you think? You think Logan's involved in this?
I do. I
Okay.
do. I think in the end, the state's evidence is going to show that, well, at least the discovery is going to show that there is a lot more evidence against Logan than what was kind of put out there.
Okay.
I think the FBI still believes it too. So,
And if I get ahead of or get ahead of you, just stop me at any time, buddy. like I said, I'm just kind of going down stuff that I just found very like, wow.
So there is for sure a connection between Logan and Holder. Like,
yeah, as far as I know, even a lot of locals that I've spoken to over the years, they all say the same thing, that Holder frequented that area, that Logan was involved with some pretty shady people, and that there was some kind of pig roast going on that weekend, and that Holder and a bunch of people were there. So I wonder if things just got really out of control and something happened on the 13th.
Yeah. And do you mind if I bring up the 4 guys that were supposedly Odinism people, Odinites?
No.
Okay. So we have Elvis Fields, Patrick Westfall, Johnny Messer, and Rob Abrams. I fell out of my chair when Elvis was interrogated,
yes.
taken back to his trailer. He walks back to the police car and says, "Oh, by the way, if you find my spit on Abby's body," and I'm sorry to even say that, people, but again, it's a crime show, I can explain it away, but could I still get in trouble? And that was reported to the force. That trooper reported that. And then I heard that when they checked this guy's alibi, it didn't even pan out. And the guy that he said he was with told a totally different other story about what his alibi was. How can you not take this kid in for re-questioning? I mean,
where did it get lost in the mix?
Yeah, about when was that, Matt? Do you know what year they did all this?
I think it was 2017.
I was gonna say, I think it was 2017. Yeah.
I would think it was very early in the months after. It might have been even still February.
This kid couldn't be telling the truth. No way. Get out of here. Is that what was happening?
Well, they said his IQ was like 80 or something, or 90, very low IQ.
Regardless.
But
is that what happened though? Like, is that what the hell happened? How did that not go anywhere?
But exactly.
I just think, anytime we take a look at the evidence that Carroll County is presenting, we find errors like this in all of it. Every time they process something, there's some kind of error or some kind of contradiction that doesn't make sense. I don't know why they did this, and I don't know what they're hiding, that they have to be so secretive to need to do this. Even the coroner made horrendous mistakes. He was a 19-year-old kid. He shouldn't have been in that position.
What?
Yeah, there are some.
Don't you have to be
sort of
medical school?
Well, here's the thing. He had his father. His father was the medical examiner.
Okay.
And so he was the coroner originally. And what ended up happening is they appointed his son as the county coroner, and then he was the deputy. And the deputy is actually more important because they're medically trained professionals who kind of rule on things. And the coroner is more of an administrative role. So they kind of sign off on what's been decided. They make the ultimate ruling, but it's very administrative. So they're not really performing any medical exams on the bodies and stuff like that. They're just kind of secondary to what the medical examiner or the qualified deputy coroner would decide.
God.
So,
man,
and there are some death certificates that leaked over the last 8 months, I want to say, and these are just filled with horrendous errors. I think it lists them as committing suicide.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
And a lot of people are disputing that they're real. I do believe they're authentic. I've spoken to my source who was involved with the Carroll County investigation or the Carroll County lawsuit. She has all kinds of connections with people, and she believes them to be absolutely authentic. And I'm gonna side with her on that. The reason I say that is because there were errors made in the Flora case too that are very similar to that.
Knowing what we know about how they died, how would that ever go past anything though? Ruling it.
Well, it does say that they were killed by the hand of someone else. So there's just an error there.
I see.
that's going to come out and, you know, during the course of this trial,
Right,
they're going to
right,
look
right. Yeah.
They're going to look horrible. So
I don't see how they're going to win this case.
No.
And again, like I said, stop me, Matt. I'm just like,
Sure.
Okay. Elvis Fields admitted to his sister that he was involved in the murders and gave details of the crime scene that only someone there would have known.
Yep.
Then she was polygraphed to see if she was telling the truth, and she
told the truth.
passed.
Yes.
He then went and told his other sister about, again, I feel horrible saying this, but spitting on Abby's body. This is unbelievable to me.
That's where my, like, it's a legit question where I'm like, how does this, because we know that there's like obviously a messy bureaucracy where people are giving reports are going one place then to another. Is that how it's working, Matt? And then it's just never getting where it needs to go. Someone's standing in the way. Is that where
it seems deliberate, my friend? It
that's what I'm
seems
saying. Like, is it deliberate at some point? Like, because it sounds like the state trooper took the report on the kid, right?
He did,
and then she passed it up the chain of command, right?
Yeah. What was that? What were they called, Matt? Command Force? Or there's a special name that they had.
Unified Command. That's
Unified Command, right?
That's it.
Yeah. But do you see what I'm saying though? There's like it seems like these things are out there now. It would go to a certain point and then just be done. You would never. It would just the black hole.
Yep.
It would just go away. Wow.
And then Patrick Westfall from Delphi, Brad Holder, him and Brad Holder were supposedly good friends, which is this kind of silly that, but they parted ways because they were conducting a ritual together in the forest, and I guess someone did one of the rituals wrong, and they got mad at each other. Sounds like someone playing Dungeons and Dragons to me, but it's like
I can't imagine these grown men dancing around in the woods together, acting like this.
Hey, and didn't Elvis? I read somewhere. I thought Elvis told his sister that because of these killings, now he had brothers. Almost sounding like he was what would be the word, to be initiated?
Yeah, an initiation of sorts.
Yeah, now he could now have a family. I have brothers,
right? Which may account for one reason why he had to spit.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say too, you were talking.
I'm just saying, like, they may have forced him. You do see that in initiation sometimes, like you pull the trigger kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now we all saw you do that.
And then a lot of people were saying too is that, well, this kid's got a low IQ. He could have been making it up, but
I agree with Bob.
Bob Mata came up with it. He said, you know what? He said, usually people with low IQs don't lie. He said they're not.
Well, when they're
not smart enough.
Right.
Yeah, they're not smart enough to come up with something, and they just tell the truth.
Yeah.
And God, this is what this sounds like to me. So these four guys, it's Elvis, Patrick, Johnny, and Rob. And if you said this before, because again, my mind's blown. Are they associates of Brad Holder? Are they all hanging in the same group, or?
Yeah, I think there's a circle of people who, there are some videos that Holder has posted, and these individuals, at least some of them, are in these videos, performing rituals and saluting Odin and things like that. It's very strange. And
now, was this on social media?
Yeah. Holder still has them up too, so they're all public.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna
have a smoke. I hope no one's offended if I smoke.
No, I don't do whatever you want. Even if you were here, I'd let you smoke. God, this is just insane. So so basically you've got video documented of these guys holding rituals?
Yes. Yep. Speaking in different languages, Nordic language. It's very strange. There are women, children there.
Wow. Oh my God. Matt,
it's crazy.
Matt, when all this information came out, I thought, okay, this is just a bunch of bullshit. The defense is, this is bullshit. Defense is just trying to cover up and get the focus off of Richard Allen. But like I said earlier, they can't lie in a legal document. So these
Especially
are
one that
actually
critical.
statements that they are copying down that are in
Yeah.
reports.
Yeah.
So do you mind if we talk about the crime scene a little bit?
Let's do it.
Okay. And let me show everybody. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this picture. This is from Court TV, how it was described to them. I'm sorry I was covering up everybody's faces, but I wanted everybody to see this. To me, these do look like, so, and Matt, you know, I wonder if that stick on Libby that's going kind of at a diagonal angle was
North, south.
actually, maybe the wind blew it. Maybe it was straight from her feet up through her head.
That's
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But so I wanted everybody to see this. Guys, this isn't someone just trying to partially cover up a body. The thing I thought of, the first thing I thought of is, you know what? There's leaves all over the place. That would be way better. You could grab the
And
leaves,
easier.
way easier. Grab all the
Yeah.
leaves, throw them on the bodies. That's going to hide them. Whoever did this,
Well,
was
and at least one of the sticks was cut. They believe potentially at the scene. So
yeah,
that's deliberate. Another thing that makes it deliberate are the horns that were placed above Abby's head.
yes,
You know, I guess it could be argued, you know, that he covered them if those weren't placed the way they were.
Right,
But
right.
you know, it was clearly stated that this was a deliberate act. And now seeing some of the other things, it's clearly that all of this was very deliberate. This killer or killers took meticulous time to place these bodies in a very specific way, you know, to present them to law enforcement this way. There was a message that was being delivered. And, you know, I think these are the 3 signatures that Robert Ives was talking about in the beginning.
right.
I'd
Yeah.
have to think about it to form which parts of this are the 3, but we're seeing signatures here: the writing on the tree, the way the sticks were placed, the way the bodies were placed. You know, having Abby's hands placed upward like this to her face.
Right.
All of that stuff
Even switching the
is very
clothing,
strange. Yeah, the clothing is strange.
which is really interesting too, because you would think with that much action going on and movement, you know, there would be DNA of some sort. I mean, how often do you see, you know, in these situations, these crime scenes, less hectic crime scenes where some DNA is left somewhere? I mean, there's sticks being moved, but you know, like you guys said, they didn't get collected.
Yeah.
Initially,
Is that true, Matt? They left
There
the
are
sticks behind.
rumors. Yeah, for almost a month, I believe.
Oh my God.
Oh
So
my
there were
God.
bloody items that were left at the scene for people to just wander down there. And you know, I just can't imagine
Really?
how any investigator would have left items like this
Yeah,
there.
Garrett and I was talking earlier
What?
saying, you know what, we're not even trained investigators, but I would think, hey, maybe there's touch DNA on these sticks. Maybe we should, you know, bag it up.
I told you what I would do. If I were in their shoes, I would be like, hey, can we all stop really quick and just call the FBI? Like, I'm not equipped to handle this right now. Can we just send this up the chain of command?
But you know, that's
this
such
is
a
way over my head. I don't care.
I know.
They pushed the FBI out though.
They
You know,
pushed
they
the
didn't want the
that's right.
FBI involved.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
though,
look,
like, but you know,
Because they were
like,
going down this angle, I believe.
but we're from
Yeah.
we're from it's a big town, but it used to be a small town, right? Like, and so I can just imagine a detective from here stumbling into that situation. I feel like that's what they would do. I don't feel like they would try to take that on. I mean, if it's obviously a ritualistic,
I'm pretty sure
seems
that's
like
police 101. I would think is, you know, not only that, but I heard they didn't take soil samples. They didn't, you know,
Nope.
pick up any of the leaves.
overwhelmed. Can you imagine?
And
Like,
a month. I mean, at that point, your DNA is gone. I mean, it snowed, it rained,
dude, the elements,
the water,
Well,
the
this
elements.
is February, Indiana in February.
Yeah.
Well, even worse than that, there are rumors that, you know, let's say Logan went down there on the 13th while people were searching. You know, there is some evidence with his cell data that he was near the crime scene between 7:56 and 10:16. He was sending and receiving text messages. So, you know, that would seem to indicate that the cell towers would have to,
Who was that? I'm
you
sorry.
know, almost Ron Logan.
Okay.
So,
And was that AM or PM?
Sorry.
Yeah,
There's no worries at all.
We are family friendly,
Bye.
buddy. Hi, sweetie.
Sorry. Where was I?
No, like, was that AM or
Trying to
PM
think.
with Ron Logan? That timeline. You said.
It was definitely PM. 7:56 to 10:16 PM. He was down by the crime scene. Police were able to determine this because he sent and received text messages while he was down there, and there are rumors that he potentially freaked out and used countermeasures to attempt to disrupt the evidence down there by spraying the bodies and spraying the crime scene with orange cleaner and stuff. So, you know, if this is the case, then this might explain how they don't have anything.
Right. And yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No,
okay, Brad.
Wait. Okay. Ron Logan, he's sending text messages. Does anybody know what those messages happen to be about?
They didn't subpoena the
I'm sure law enforcement knows. I'm sure it's in the discovery, but you know, he received a text message at 2:09 p.m. too, about 4 minutes before the girls were kidnapped. So, you know,
From
was
the
this
area?
a frame job? Was this a frame job? We don't know. We don't know what they received or what they have in regards to the discovery, but you know, everything's pointing to Ron Logan, at least, you know, best case scenario, finding out that there are bodies at the edge of his property the night before while people are searching. And that's why he called the alibi the next morning before the bodies were discovered, because he's shitting his pants at this point.
Right.
So whether or not he's involved, I don't know. But there are a lot of very suspicious circumstances surrounding Ron Logan that appear to indicate that maybe he's involved.
Well, and one would ask if they didn't know, like, well, how would you get word that there's bodies if you didn't have anything to do with it? But when you're hanging around shady characters that chill out in the woods and with Odinianism, if they had something to do with it, they would definitely probably let you know. Heads up, Ron. You need an alibi. They might just say you need that fucking alibi, you know. So,
I can't see him willfully knowing that this stuff is taking place on there,
right?
Unless he's directly involved. But you know, at least he's likely aware that those bodies are there. You know, the night before. So.
Wow. Okay.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah,
Can this case just be simple? I mean, it's just unbelievable. And another thing I wanted to ask you, Amber Holder, I guess that's Brad's wife, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it says Brad shared info of Amber Holder, who relayed info to law enforcement and then was reported to the Unified Command. Liggett concealed info from the judge. So Brad Holder stated to his wife that Patrick Westfall and his people was responsible for the murders. And this wasn't sent to the defense. Is that
right? Until they requested it.
They
started seeing some indication that some things were being looked into. I'm sure in the 40,000 tips and leads, the defense would have to meticulously go through all of this stuff. Some things started to not make sense. They started having interviews that were lacking and things like that. And as they begin requesting these things, the state is acting more and more dodgy about giving them this information. And so it appears that this is a deliberate attempt by the state to withhold exculpatory evidence against their client. And all of that calls into question Rick Allen's guilt in all of this, to me. You know, I, like you, believed that they had gotten their suspect.
I did. Yeah, I thought it was a guy.
But
and now, you know,
when we heard about the bullet, we were like, okay, well, that makes sense. That's how one person can control two people, right? Is because, he had a gun, he didn't fire it, right? They just found. Yeah, so it made sense. Like, it really did, like, kind of tied some things together, because it's something we always talked about, and now to be it all to be turned on its head, really.
Yeah, there's, I mean, there's some people say that it's pseudoscience with the mechanical marks on the casing, that you can't really identify a bullet. And and like Bob said, what they're going to do is the defense is going to hire their expert, the prosecution is going to hire their expert. They're going to cancel each other out, basically, and then you've got nothing if you don't have any more because all the stuff they found, Matt, when they went through the house, there was nothing personal of the girls, and there was nothing that physically connected him to the crime scene, except they're saying the gun because of the bullet. But to me, that's not enough. I'm not sending someone to the death penalty for, if I'm on the jury. You better have more than that.
Right.
And then, we talked about the video, of the bridge guy. And again, I know, this, it could have been Brad Holder. Brad Holder looks the same. He's got the little goatee. He had the hat on. He had the,
he had the ankle.
Yeah.
Hobbling around.
For a while, I thought it was Ron Logan on the bridge, and especially when that statement came out from one of his ex-wives. Oh yeah, that's Ron's pouch that he carries with him. And I thought, okay, yeah. Is there any possibility? Do you think Richard Allen was the guy on the bridge, or could it have been Ron Logan? Or
I think that Richard Allen is likely not the individual on the bridge. I might have believed this 6 months ago, but can you shut that off, honey? Yeah, I might have believed it 6 months ago, but now it's just seeming more and more like the state tried to conceal evidence, and Tony Liggett was wanting to get elected as sheriff, and so that's what this is all about.
Yeah, so the arrest of Richard Allen was just a few days or something before the election, or
I want to say a week. Yeah.
Wow.
So they, in the least, they rushed.
Yeah.
So best case scenario, they rushed, and they arrested a guy without having the evidence to do so. And there are a lot of things with the search warrant that don't make sense. Like Diener signed off on that warrant at 6:37 p.m. We have news media and neighbors claiming that there was a high police presence already at the Allen residence at around noon hour on the 13th. So they were already searching.
So before the warrant was even signed.
Yeah. So it looks like they went into his house, they found a bunch of things, and then they got him to sign off on it after the fact. And they were questioning Rick Allen down at the command center for a number of hours already at this point. So I don't know if he willfully gave them the ability to enter the house or not, but it's all very seedy and very strange. So
yeah.
Holy moly, man.
Yeah, I just want to also take time, the people in the chat room, thank you for showing up tonight.
Yeah.
And Garrett and I were, we don't have Pam anymore to
I'm reading it. It's been great, man. Everybody's been super respectful and awesome, and thank you so much.
And Garrett, if you read something, see something interesting, pop it up there, because we do appreciate every one of you guys for showing up tonight. Especially, we haven't done a show for 3 months, something like that. So again, thank you guys for spending your night with us doing this. Okay.
Hey, I got a quick question for Matt.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been
no. This has been.
I've taken over the whole conversation. Go ahead.
No, it's been fantastic. So Keith and I were talking last night. Was that last night? Or the night before? I couldn't remember.
He's old.
I'm getting old.
Not old as me.
And I was telling him, I said, hey, it's kind of weird, since day one, we always talked about the catfishing scenario, right? And I always felt it was very odd. I felt like it was a kill spot. The timing of it all. How do you commit this, right? All the questions we have. Is there a world where the Kleins and we're still somehow tied into this? It's not a far stretch to think that people that are out in the woods doing this Odiism thing, right, and are white supremacists would have ties to, child, whatever it is. Does that make sense?
One of the individuals that they're questioning, that's in Brad Holder's little group there. If you read some of the discovery documents or the memorandum or whatever, it actually talks about him being involved in communicating with minors online. So I wonder if that's somehow the connection to some of this.
Now, who'd you say? I'm sorry, Matt.
I don't remember the guy's name. It's one of the 4 or 5 that are listed there.
Okay.
I believe it's in the brand new documents where they where the defense is kind of talking about more of the lies that they've discovered with the Turco stuff, or Tuco, whatever his name is, the professor
guy. Yeah.
And it actually talks about him being questioned, them discovering seedy conversations with kids and stuff online. We'll find out the name of the individual and we can post that afterwards. But that might be the link there. Obviously, law enforcement focused a lot on the Anthony Schott stuff, and I like you wonder, what the connection to all of that would be. So
because also didn't he make a phone call to the gas station right over there?
Well, no. He
Kagan
he did a search of the mobile gas station that was like less than a mile from Richard Allen's house, which is awful suspicious.
I'm just saying, all weird timing. You look at the geography, the location, the timing of all these weird, dark situations that are seeming to occur, right? Yeah. All at the same time when these 2 girls, are murdered. So I was curious if you thought that was still like something that could be possible.
I honestly don't know. Okay. I don't know what kind of world we would live in if law enforcement didn't have some form of evidence against them. I don't really know, what that would be, or maybe it was a false trail that they were kind of going down. Right. But I think it's very suspicious to think that they're out in Vegas and Kegan Klein searching, DNA on bodies and, compulsively searching for information on the killer that they're releasing.
Right.
Listening to the voice dozens and dozens of times frantically.
Well,
there seems to be some kind of connection, but I'm just not sure.
Multiple sketches, multiple. I mean, it's
because I think the girls were definitely targeted and catfished somehow.
Right.
And so, who knows who had access to Kegan Klein's accounts, or these drop boxes with all the pictures? Was it a whole? Were some of these Odinists or these people friends knew Kegan through this porn ring thing that they had, possibly? Because Matt, do you think it was targeted, right? I mean, this wasn't an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Time. Yeah,
I think it was a targeted thing.
They would have to know, though. Yeah. And an adult can't just follow kids around every day. Like adults that have families and wives and kids, even crazy adults, right? They have to go to work and stuff. That's why it's so bizarre that they were just able to all be there at the same time. It's kind of like Evansville in that way, right?
Agreed.
Where it's it's just so bizarre that can happen during the day. I can't get over it. I can't get over that fact. That just bugs me so much. So I wanted to run it by you.
So, Matt, what's your thoughts on the Richard Allen confession? I can see how mental stress could cause that. I know what they're trying to say now is that the prison guards were threatening him, or somebody was threatening him that he needed to confess to his wife. I don't know that I buy that.
Me either. But
I wouldn't totally
you have to understand that
I'm just
there have been lots of people over the years who have sort of confessed to crimes under duress, being
that's what I think
in a confinement situation. They're being harassed, they're being questioned for hours and hours upon end, and slowly they break down psychologically. And maybe this is the case. Maybe there is some involvement with Rick Allen, but like I said before our show started, I don't believe that we can ever really know. I think that this investigation is so botched, it's so screwed up, that there's no way a jury can find him guilty at this point, because there's just no way to ever fully know whether or not he's the person that did this.
Yeah, there's
There are
nothing.
just too many questions, too many doubts.
Yeah, I think the defense are going to have they're going to win this case. I mean, can the prosecution, I think on discovery, they have to give everything to the defense, don't they? Or can they hold back some nuggets, like some really big bombshells?
You can't introduce evidence during a trial, so there is a deadline, and that's what the defense is requesting, that any of the discovery information be handed over on a timely basis. And because there are more than 40,000 tips and leads, it's important that the state hands over all of that evidence so that the defense has proper time to be able to defend their client. And so, as this deadline comes, they're going to have to extend it yet again. There's no way that this trial is going to happen in January, because it can't. And so, this is going to be a difficult mountain for the prosecution to climb. And absolutely, they have to turn over every bit of evidence so that it's a fair trial. So, including exculpatory evidence.
And so really the only reason that they focused on Richard Allen was because he had went and admitted to being at the bridge, right? I mean, that's, I mean, there's part of me that thinks, okay, if you kill somebody, why would you put yourself at the crime scene?
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like,
or even, yeah, I mean,
it's kind of looking at it kind of like, oh wait, yeah, I was there, like,
yeah, I don't know. This case is crazy, man.
I read that too, though, about like there's supposed to be these, white nationalist Odinists that are prison guards that are, threatening and trying to send a message.
Well, that's what the defense is trying to say, and they're doing a good job bringing that stuff up, because
it's plausible. I mean, we see prison guards have relationships with inmates and then break them out.
Right.
I mean, we
Right.
see, no, we do.
Yeah.
We see prison guards bring in drugs. We see prison guards that are part of gangs.
Oh.
I mean, like, the prison system is messed up in America, dude.
Yeah.
It is a corrupt business. So, like, to think that's possible, like, of course it is, dude. We're in America.
Yeah, I'll bring this up. I probably shouldn't.
And white supremacists have a lot of power in prison too. So just
I won't use the guy's name, but one of my patients was in the cartel, Mexican cartel. Okay, yeah, never mind. I don't want to talk about it, because never mind. That was stupid.
Bring it up.
No, you can bring up the
comment, okay. I'm not going to use it. Yeah, I'm not going to use it.
This is awesome what he has, though, and I cannot wait to tell you about it, but we kind of got to...
Okay, so one of my patients was one of the head cartels in
somewhere
in Oklahoma, okay?
Somewhere.
That was running from Mexico. I know, God, I'm probably going to end up dead tonight.
No, just
don't bring it up if it's dangerous.
But
bring it up if it's dangerous.
No,
right.
This won't be a dangerous comment.
No, actually, this comment's not dangerous at all. Basically, he told me when he was in prison, he could have anything he wanted. He had 2 bodyguards with him. He said every guard was on the take. He said there'd be a couple of guards that wouldn't do something for you, but he goes, I would ask for 200 Snicker bars, and I pay the guy off. He brings them in. He goes, I sell them for $10 a piece to the other. So he said he had, all the guards were on the take, is what he basically told me.
Yeah.
So I didn't divulge any information.
No, you didn't. No, I was just messing with you, really, even in the beginning when I did that. But
he said,
I'm glad you're not saying any more information.
No, I'm not. Because there's some very, I won't bring it up, but that happens in prison all the time. He said that guards are on the take all the time.
Well, man, you see that picture of him too, though. Like, it's really bad. Like, and of course, you can also do things in prison to make yourself way less healthy, right? And not want to eat and be depressed. But I'm saying it looked like he was like at Guantanamo Bay. You know that picture of him where he has like the dirty shirt on and he's like super...
Oh, you're talking about Richard Allen.
Richard Allen.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a picture of him where it's, so I don't know, man. Those five times they said, right, that he confessed.
Yeah, he confessed to his wife. It said, and to his mother, at least 5 times. So, that will be, I'm sure.
And to his mom.
Yeah, I heard it was his mother, and it was also the wife, and that I'm sure that'll be brought in as evidence and played in the court.
Man, if that guard's standing behind me, though, if there's a guard standing behind me, I'm gonna be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You got to live there.
Yeah,
the lights go off, nobody's watching, nobody cares,
right? And to me, it's easy to think, sure, there's probably Odinists that are. I mean, there's Klansmen that are sheriffs. There's.
So my thing is like a bullet or a casing.
Well,
right?
it was claimed though that it had something to do with race, and that the attack was the result of someone dating someone
right outside their race,
of another race or something. So who knows if it's true. So I think the relevance of all of this is just to kind of show what this county has done to conceal some of this stuff, and we have to question why they would want to conceal it.
Why?
Yeah,
that doesn't
that's the important part.
The cause.
That's the $1 million question.
That doesn't further the cause. Like changing the color of the coat. What the hell is that? That seems like such a weird little thing, right? But it's so big, especially in this case.
And Matt, is it true that when we read the affidavit, it said that a lady said muddy and bloody, but now we find out it was just muddy.
Yep.
I mean, that
Terrible.
is like
that sheriff.
Where'd they get that information from?
Yeah.
Why are they saying that?
Yeah. And I mean, the defense. I mean,
why would they say
they got to have this Frank's hearing, right? I mean, there's enough stuff in there. I would think that it's got to happen, don't you think?
I think that if she doesn't go with this Frank's hearing thing, this would be the biggest injustice to have ever unfolded.
Because basically what you could do is you call Liggett to the stand. He's going to probably perjure himself, but the defense calls the witnesses to the stand and say, tell us exactly what you told the sheriff.
I don't think that they knew or understood how the legal system worked. It makes me wonder how many people are sitting in prison right now.
No, for sure,
framed up on some kind of twisted evidence that Liggett has supplied to the judge. And another thing that makes me question all of this is Diener's recusal in all of this. It has to be that this individual was somehow aware that they were being dodgy in the county. And so I think that if this ends up getting thrown out there and Liggett gets proven to be a perjurer and a liar, this is going to bring up a whole lot of other cases who are of individuals who are sitting in prison right now, who are now going to fight their crimes. And so we might end up having some real dangerous people getting released because of some horrible decisions by the county to fake evidence.
You take 10 steps forward, you take 100 steps back. They try to cut right to the chase and get shit done. You know what I mean? And like you said, you don't know until you've been in the legal system for a second. It is very, very difficult, right? And so, you get these elected officials in all these different places. You got a sheriff here, coroner here, whatever it is. And you see, and earlier, like I said, I was like, hey, why is it that, somebody gives information that gets to a point and then goes away? Might get up here and then goes away. Well, it's because it gets up to this one goddamn elected official at some point that wants it to go away, and it goes away.
Yep.
Change the words, add a word, take a little bit out. Who cares? Yeah. Well, the ripple effect is somebody's in freaking jail. There's all these murders probably walking around, right?
Yeah.
That's a crime.
I don't know what good can, I mean, like Matt was saying earlier, I don't know what good can come out of this really be either way, because there could be a possibility. I mean, there's definitely, to me, there's not enough evidence to prosecute and send this man to prison for the rest of his life. But what if he is the killer? Then he's free. I mean, maybe he did have this help from these people.
But that's the defense's job in this system, and this is the only good thing I really.
They're doing a good job.
Yeah, and
they're doing a good job.
It is to flush out the inconsistencies of the prosecution. right? And the prosecution, like you said, Matt, is the one that how many people have they fucking sent to jail, right?
Yep.
And so the defense is doing a great job at flushing those out so we can all see it and be like, hey, what the hell's going on in Carroll County, right?
Yeah.
And those elected officials, that's how you get it done. So it's fucking crazy, man.
So Matt, what's your thoughts on, like, me and Garrett go over this all the time, and I think you brought up a good point on one of your videos. And again, guys, trigger warning, this is gruesome. If you're one man and you do have a gun, and let's say you tie Abby up, you tie both of them up, right?
You get them to tie each other up.
Okay, well, whatever. And let's say Libby was the first to die. You've got Abby watching this. I would think she'd be screaming her brains out. I mean, you know, they did this.
I can't imagine what they went through.
Right, and not only that, I can't understand how was there silence through this.
Did a scream. You said they did.
They did a scream test. Yeah, I mean, where they had some. I can't remember whose video it was. A girl scream where the site was. They had someone else on the other side of. Like where the bridge, and you clearly hear the scream. And I'm thinking, if one of the girls is watching this, they're, at this point, they know they're next. They're going to be screaming their head off. That's what,
like I said, unless
and then
incapacitated.
Yeah, and then
that's the only way that this works is that one of them is incapacitated.
Right.
There's
but
no
if you have
other way.
But was there any blunt force trauma to anybody's head? Do we know that?
I've heard that there was, but none of that is described in any official documents.
that could be like this too, though. I mean, I could get behind somebody and just slowly, you know what I'm saying? You could get behind somebody and choke them out and incapacitate somebody long enough. But I mean, and the reason I think.
But how are you controlling the gun and the other victim?
Well, no. Here's
another thing.
Really fast.
Sure.
Okay, because we were talking about this before the show. If you are new to our show, listen, Keith has been going over Zodiac for years and years. Keith's way older than me and Matt. He's been doing the Zodiac for years and years, knows everything about it. We've done tons of shows, and we were talking about Lake Berryessa, right? And in that case, in the middle of the day, the Zodiac is wearing a gigantic black suit in the middle of the day. Just
with a hood,
And doesn't he have them tie each other up?
Yeah, he does this.
And in that case, you can just...
He kills them around 5:30 to 6 p.m. in the afternoon at a public lake.
Right.
And they are screaming, right?
Exactly.
And there's people on the other side of the hill I
just bring that up because when we're going through these hypotheticals and stuff, it's because from our previous experience, like looking at cases and stuff, it's something that we've had to think about with the Zodiac, right?
Yeah.
How did this one guy do all these crazy things, right?
Well, not only that, and we talk about the risk. I mean, you think about you're at Delphi, you're at the trail place, and there's people all around. You pick this one place that's not too far from the bridge, and it's in the middle of everything, right? And you're killing these two girls. And Matt, I almost went back. Your first theory was you thought the girls were killed and then brought back to the scene of the crime.
Was that the barn?
Huh?
Yeah.
Did that have something to do with the barn? Okay, sorry.
It's one of my earliest videos. Yeah.
And at first I thought, well, there's no way. I mean, but it's still, that's, to me, I'm still thinking that's just too risky. Property? Yeah.
I was thinking that earlier when you were talking, Matt, and I didn't want to sound like an idiot. And I was like, because I recall that, with that episode with Matt.
Right.
There have been, rumors since the very beginning that they were killed somewhere else and brought back to that scene. Who knows if they're true? But what I am finding is that a lot of the stuff that was said early in the beginning that was debunked by family and by, law enforcement narratives seems to be at least partially true.
I was telling Keith that last night. I was like, it'll be so interesting to go back and watch and see, like, and think about it, because it does seem that way, right? But doesn't it make sense now? Because the family really didn't know anything either, did they?
Right.
Law force knew.
So.
Law force.
They're not going to share anything.
Law force knew a lot, but they were dictating what got out, and so, like, of course, it was debunked. Like when you're taking and adding things in, and it's at your control, you can debunk anything you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's nuts.
Okay, so is there any part of this deposition or whatever it's called, I'm sorry, that you want to go through, Matt? Or that you want to look at?
We don't necessarily have to go through any of it. I'm sure that most of the people who are watching tonight that are interested in the case have read this document.
Oh yeah.
Is there
Everyone's
anything?
been saying.
Is there anything about the document that we didn't talk about that you found? I think the inventory list was very interesting, which they can look at that themselves. Where they basically showed everything they took from Richard Allen's house.
Yeah.
Everything, and but yet there's nothing, man.
It's pretty generic, and
it's very generic.
It's items that that any warrant would seize, and I think they were hopeful, in those early times to get his computers down there and try to find a link to this and that, but nothing ended up linking to anything, and it's just really sad. I don't know what they thought would happen. I really don't.
I remember speaking with you.
Would they have mentioned if there would have been CP on there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I think we may end up finding out something during the course of the trial that law enforcement discovered that maybe the defense isn't talking about, but I don't think that anything like that was found.
Right. Yeah, see, that was another thing I was wondering too, because the defense in their deposition, they don't have to put everything. I mean, they're not going to let a bunch of really good stuff get out.
Right.
Because they're trying to place doubt. And so when they go to pick a jury, this is already tainted the jury now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, actually it's brilliant. I mean, even if it's not Odinism related or whatever.
Yeah, but when you're trying to send somebody to prison for the rest of their life and possibly death, then the
it'll be a death penalty
prosecution
case.
should present their case in a way which is there's no burden. I mean, it's like you can't poke holes in it. That's why with Bob, he was saying, like the prosecution oftentimes will just send you 40,000 documents in no order, chronological. They're not going to make it
they
easy
make you
on
go through it.
And what I tell you, I said, hey, honestly, wouldn't it be within the prosecution's best interest to have patterns? I mean, it's 2023. You can get this shit loaded up by AI. Like if everybody was, you know what I mean? Like all the reports from this person and this person, you just click through it. Like, isn't that what we should want?
They can do that.
I know.
Yeah.
It bugs me.
I've seen where you can take every document, you put it to a computer. You can put, let's search Brad Holder. So we put in Brad Holder, it'll bring up every document that has his name in it.
That's what I mean.
Every word, you could type in any word,
and that's my point. Like, isn't that what I don't know. That's, I guess, the perfect world. It doesn't seem like it's that weird to have a prosecution when you're about to send somebody to prison for the rest of their life that is organized. Give it to the defense. Go ahead, check it out. Go ahead, look on through there. Yeah, go to page 3,460. Like whatever it is, but it's not like that. It's like, here you go. Good luck. And so
it's like an IRS audit here. Like you basically have a trash bag full of receipts, and you go, here you go. Have fun.
Yeah.
You'll that's what it feels. That's what it feels like the county did. They didn't keep any of their evidence together, and they even misfiled Rick Allen's statement as Rick Allen Whiteman. So they actually put his address.
They're like, it's Rick Allen.
The name of the street
man.
as a name. So the Orion system didn't pick up on his tip, and
okay. And earlier, Matt, I'm sorry I interrupted you when I asked you. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about that was in that deposition?
I just think it's important for every viewer who is on this show right now to read this 136 pages. Read up all the follow-up notes that are released now by the defense as well, because they give a good summary of items that the state has appeared to lie about. There's a lot of misconception out there. A lot of people are upset that Rick's getting all this funding for his defense. But any of us could be accused of a horrendous crime.
For sure.
Right.
And it's on the state to prove these charges.
Yeah. The burden is on the
it's
state.
not on him to have to, necessarily give proof of anything other than when the state's making an accusation. So,
Right.
all of the job is on the state to prove their case.
Right.
And so anyone being accused of something like this deserves to have their defense paid for if they can't afford it. I can't imagine not being able to do that, or not being able to get, a good lawyer to be out there and defend you
Right.
with these horrendous accusations. And so it's very important that this is what is happening, especially in regards to your Constitution and your rights as a human being,
I could not
as an
agree
American
more.
citizen.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Rick could be guilty here, but he deserves to have the best defense that money can buy. And
Fair
because the
trial.
state's accusing him, the state should also have to foot the bill.
And our system should be one in which we trust. And if it's not,
Exactly.
then they should get fucked up, and they should get fired, and they should they should have to go to sleep every night knowing that they messed up, and that they're letting a killer loose. And
Exactly.
but if that prevents 1,000 people in the next 100 years or whatever from this happening to, then I guess
And something else, Matt, I hadn't had a chance to look at this, but it said the state responded. Can you briefly kind of say what they said to the allegations?
They called the statements that the defense made fanciful. Once again, they're clinging to the idea that social media is destroying this case, and that is what they're going to fall on. That's the sword they're going to fall on in the end when this fails. They're going to say that we were the ones that destroyed the case. Keep in mind that we were not in charge of the evidence. We were not in charge of the way that the evidence was brought together, or the reports as they were placed into their computers. These goons have, gotten away with all of this stuff with immunity because they protect one another. And unfortunately, all of this is coming back to bite them in the end, because in a trial like this that's highly publicized, all of this stuff has to be vetted. All of their claims are going to be vetted in court. You can't stand in front of a jury and just claim that someone said something without having evidence that that person said something. And so you put these witnesses on the stand. What are they going to say about their original statements when they did not claim the things that the state's claiming they did? This isn't rocket science. This is very easy to understand. So I really don't understand what the state thought was going to happen in all of this.
Okay, so I want to bring up another thing. The F on the tree, supposedly that was in Libby's blood.
Yeah.
And I have purportedly a crime scene photo that's supposed to be that picture, that I was very hesitant to show, because I can't
I think it's important, but it's unsubstantiated at this point.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and show this. So if any of you guys want to turn off right now or get off, go ahead, because I'm going to show you an actual crime scene photo, not of the girls. But I think if this is the real photo, it totally debunks what they were saying about it being arterial blood spray.
Yes.
So I'm going to count 5 to 1. You can get off now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's it. This is supposed to be a real crime scene photo of the F that was found at the crime scene. Man, I wish I had a pointer I could show, but you can see that line's too straight. It looks like, and Garrett brought up something very, very good. That can you explain to them what you were telling me?
Yeah, just like if you write, there's always a point at which you start, right? So if you look at the very top of that the F right there, you can see at the very top, it looks a little bit darker, and then it gets lighter and then dark again. That's because when you go down with your finger, it kind of skips over at first because you're pushing down, right? Comes up, comes back down. And then you can see the one off, like where the side would be. And again, it's like it's coming in, right? So you would start here, go in.
Right.
And especially on bark, obviously, that you would see where it would come a little bit
where you would miss spots because of
yes.
where it's raised up a little bit from the bark. And if even if you look that the middle part that goes kind of upward to make the F, not the top one, but the one in the middle, looks like it actually kind of goes through that line. And Garrett and I had looked up some rune stuff, and there was two meanings: F meaning God, and then F also meaning cattle.
Yes.
Whether that has anything to do with that picture, I don't know, guys.
It's the second one, which this looks more like.
It does look more like the second one.
Represents some kind of a sacrificial.
Right.
That's I didn't want to say that, but you're right. So I'll go ahead and take this picture.
Hey, and I'll just say, go ahead, take it off while I say this. But I don't know if you guys remember that this was a kind of a crazy case. It was kind of big news at the time, maybe because the government or the people, especially in I think it was Kentucky, were against federal workers and blah blah blah. Well, we were doing the census, and the census worker in Kentucky, they found him upside down with words written on his stomach. I don't know if you guys ever heard about this. Have you heard about this crime? Well, they ended up, I think, charging his adopted son, or they're trying to. But what they realized is he actually wrote it on himself. He used a bingo daughter, and so they're able to see where he wrote it on. Because the theory was that somebody didn't like federal workers, they hung him upside down and then wrote on him. Wow. So if he did it to himself, though, which would mean he'd have to write upside down looking in a mirror. So they looked at the bingo daughters. They saw where he started from, which would be the dot.
Wow.
So that's how they were able to actually solve the case. And so that's why I knew that. So from seeing that, but you could see where it went across. And I agree with you, Matt. Like that second sign, is that what you're talking about? It's it's kind of actually at an angle too.
Right.
When you go back and look at it. Seeing that, because I remember when Pamela found that and you sent it to me on my phone, I was like, oh, not the picture, the symbol.
The symbol, yeah.
Seeing that,
it looks like that symbol.
Looks like that a lot.
It looks a lot like that. And that's
that second one.
And I tried to think of somebody leaning up against a tree or a hand on a tree. It's just not going to look like that. It's like it was actually written out. For sure. And because if we would have saw blood spatter, that would have been like lots of little drops all over the tree.
The original diagram that I believe Court TV released, I looked at that as though it was likely blood splatter if it resembled that. But once I saw this, it clearly looks like someone deliberately put that there.
I saw here where Grace said that she already saw it, and she wanted us to share. So but
she said, "I already saw it. It's not legit to me."
But
and it may not be, Grace. I don't know.
It may not be, but I will say this: if it wasn't legit, I feel like it would be more played out, right? Unless
we'll have to wait to see.
Right, but it just we will definitely have to wait to see. But that's not what I guess what I'm saying is that's not what I was expecting to see. If I'm being honest.
Me either.
Yeah, that's well, I mean, if that's actually the picture, man, they got problems.
It's sad.
They got problems.
It is sad.
But Matt, is there anything else you want to add, or?
I don't think so. I feel confident that that the state's in trouble.
I do too.
And I think that's the importance of this document is, not so much the theory as it is the description of the evidence and how all of this seems to imply that more was at play here than what the state wanted to investigate. And
oh my God.
Yeah, why does everybody keep? I don't know if you noticed, Matt, but I've watched a few Delphi shows about this since all this stuff came out, and people automatically think, "Oh, well, what? He brought an electric saw." It's like you don't need to bring an electric saw. I mean,
no,
you can get a small.
We don't know the size of the sticks.
Exactly. That's what I was like. I mean, a good sharp knife would do this probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Or even those camping saws that fold. You can fold them out. They're little, and they cut pretty clean. You bet there's actually people thinking, so he brought an electric saw with him? Like, no.
They on that generator?
Yeah, he had it in his jacket. Yeah. Anyway, well, Matt, thank you so much for being our comeback special guest. Elvis.
Always so thoughtful. And
yes, we thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. We
No
appreciate
problem.
all your viewers. And if you guys haven't hit the like button, please hit the like, hit the subscribe. Me and Garrett are, my health's a lot better. I'm good. We're going to start doing these shows more now. So don't give up on us. Hang in there with us, and we'll do something next week. We don't know what, but we will have something.
Absolutely.
I want to do something paranormal,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
The murder stuff, man, it's just
We got to do a paranormal show.
yes, we do.
I'd love to come on.
Let me tell you something though.
We
Keith.
did some of your EVPs, I think,
Yeah,
one time, didn't we?
Oh,
that
yeah.
was crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
That was nuts. But let me tell you this, Keith, because we were talking about this last night. We're talking about our long-term strategy with Life After Life, what we're doing. And I said, you know what's crazy about this? The Delphi situation is what we've been known to call it over our however many years. The situation. What's wild about it is that we have the video. We've seen the video, right? We've seen what we think is a person. We have the voice, right? But we still don't know what the hell's going on. Is that not like a paranormal super? No, it really is.
It
though.
is.
Like,
Sure is.
that's what draws us into the UAPs. That's what draws us into all the Bigfoots and stuff. It's this thing where it's like you can
Mystery.
see it, you can hear it,
It
but it's
defines
not there.
it defines paranormal because
it absolutely does. So
does.
it's like, man, I think this is something we'll be talking about, as long, and we don't want to anymore. We want it to be solved. But Matt, you've been a good guiding force for us, though. Honestly,
yeah, thank you so much.
Really
appreciate
lean on
it,
in a
man.
sounding board.
Yeah,
So
you've been a wealth of information for me. I appreciate your friendship. Appreciate. Thank you
You
so
too,
much
man.
again.
you're the most American Canadian I ever met in my life. Fighting for
He probably
injustice
not
for
really
Canada. He's fighting for the injustices.
man, yeah,
Fix the system.
he didn't want to hear that.
I know he did. He's a pioneer, man. But he's a pirate. That's what
Hey, I love Canada. I mean, I let me ask you this. This has nothing to do with anything, but you were in the United States for a while. Who had the better healthcare system?
Oh God, why are you doing this?
Well, we have universal health care, so it is nice to be able to bust your leg and not get a $12,000 bill.
That's what. Yeah, I'm not saying we got the best,
Yeah.
Garrett. I'm just. But does it take everybody? You hear all this stuff about, oh, well, it takes 6 months to get in to do this, or if you got to get a procedure done, you're looking at a year. Is that true, Matt?
There is a long time that you have to wait for things to get into specialists and stuff because everybody's so backed up. But
What if you have a heart problem?
They get you in. There's a tier system. So obviously, if you have some significant issues, they're going to get you in to see specialists very soon. So and that's the way that this system works.
And for
if
all
I
the
go in
new-
there with a sore hand or something like that, obviously it's going to take me some time to get in to see a specialist.
And your pharmaceutical prices are fantastic compared to what
they're not too bad.
Well, hey, I just wanted to let all the life out. Like, if you're new to the channel, we actually do a medical segment at the end of every episode.
Dr. Sullivan, we'll let you go.
Thanks, Dr. Sullivan.
But two questions for you real quick, Matt. When do you think we're going to see this thing go to trial?
It's going to be the middle of next year. It'll be the middle. It'll probably be next summer.
Okay. And I know I asked you this already, but we got to have this Franks hearing. I'm so afraid that it's not going to happen.
You want to make some calls?
Well, the state is already trying to fight. I believe the district attorney in Indiana is actually trying to petition that cameras are not allowed into the trial. That would be a huge injustice. Okay. I realize that Indiana has never allowed cameras in there, but a law recently got passed that does allow it. I think transparency is the road to go for the prosecution. If they have nothing to hide, then they don't need to worry about any of this.
Exactly.
And that's the truth of this matter. Okay.
But the problem is they do have a lot to hide.
Well, that's the problem, right? That's why they're being so shifty.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Well, Matt, you have a wonderful night, man. Thank you again so much.
Thank you so much, dude.
And we'll talk to you later. Love you, brother. Take care.
Love you too, bud.
All right,
See you
bye-bye.
guys.
Man, another OG of the Life After Life.
Yeah,
the show, man.
Matt's he was with us from the beginning.
OG, dude.
Yeah, I remember.
We got the Matt Sullivan.
I saw him. Yeah, I remember watching his videos, and the Delphi thing, it just kind of broke. What?
Hey, you were like, I remember walking in and you is at the old studio. You were like, this one's gonna be great.
Yeah,
this is gonna be,
because it was so fascinating. Because they had so
it was huge. There was like 280 people in the chat. We're like, whoa.
But now you're finding out all the stuff that Matt talked about in the beginning is happening.
I remember after that. I remember after that show being like, I was like, man, that guy, he really like, he goes after it though. Like he works hard. I respect that. Like, and you know, he was getting hate from time to time from people. Remember that? Tons of it. He'll tell you. But I always remember like, hey, he works hard. He stands by it. And if he had something wrong, he was always like, hey, I had it wrong.
He did. You I mean, like Gabe Ellis and stuff. I think he admitted that, you know,
but we were all asking questions.
The thing is, there
was no info.
They
were
exactly.
They were hiding it.
That's the thing. In the beginning of that, we had to speculate. We had no choice. We had no evidence whatsoever. So yeah, we did put side by sides up because we were trying to, you know, want to figure out who this crazy man was.
Right. And it's a new era, man. That's what I was telling Cass yesterday. She was like, you know, talking about the families and stuff. I don't know if you saw this, where some of the family members from the Idaho fort went to CrimeCon and said that they found more support and understanding amongst that community of people than they have anywhere else. Right. And I was telling her, I was like, well, it's interesting because, you know, like even with Matt, you know, he's built relationships in Delphi, and over time, it's because he legitimately cares. Like if you go that far, right, where you like go from Canada to try to, then you're doing it. I think
that's a long travel.
It is, but and I think he's been to Evansdale, right, and built relationships with those families.
I don't know about Evansdale.
I think that actually, is he still on
here?
Matt,
hey, any Evansdale connection?
You do. You didn't.
I am friends with Drew Collins. Like we have a personal friendship, but I've never been to Iowa.
I knew you had a relationship with him, right?
Yeah.
And so, but like I was telling my wife though, like these people actually really do care, right? And they're in a world where it seems like other people don't care, where you're not getting information, you're getting lied to by the cops and stuff. Like,
and that stuff needs to, the corruption and all that, it's got to come out and it's got to end, because I mean, justice system is so important.
Well, like I told you with that picture before, we were going back and forth, Matt, to be honest. That's why I texted you before, because I was like, hey, let's, you know.
I was like, do we show the picture? Because I didn't want anybody to think, okay, well, I bet Keith and Garrett just ran out and painted a tree. You know,
no. Like good partners, right? We talked about it. And I said, hey, at the end of the day, what if one of the 10 people that watch our show, but what if one of them is like, oh my God, right? Like I see that, or they share it, and like that's how things get done. I'm sorry. That's the era. That's the next era I was talking about. Yeah. It's like we're just in a new era of doing things, man, and that's part of it.
It is, man,
for sure.
We're riding the wave. Sure. Thanks, Matt.
All right, thanks again, Matt.
All right, dude.
I'll leave you alone.
Love you guys.
I promise. Yeah, love you too, brother. Peace out, man.
Awesome show, dude.
All right, guys.
Show.
It was a great show. And again, I want to thank Matt for coming on. What?
Give me some knuckles.
Yep.
Love you, dude.
And
that was great.
Matt, you're down there. Give us a knuckle there. I see you in the window. There he goes. Okay.
Hey, it is what it is, man.
So we are. Show. Yeah. So we're gonna try to get something going on with the paranormal again next week.
Let's do it next week.
Yeah, you know, Garrett and I was kind of talking, and the true crime thing, I like it. We're always going to stay with the Delphi thing, or for me, it's the Zodiac if we get some information on that. Although probably won't.
Yeah,
you know, it's over 50 years. But I want to get back into doing some good old fashioned ghost hunting, or even
a lot of UAP stuff going on, dude. A lot of UAP stuff going on.
Tell them what we saw in the back.
Oh my God!
Yes, we should have showed you this film.
We saw. What was it? Starlink.
Yes.
We were freaking okay. We came over. We had which is so cool. We had a family sleepover, which means we're probably the only family that does that. We're like, which means. I bring my wife and all my kids over to my father-in-law's house, my mother-in-law's house.
So my grandkids and my daughter and my son-in-law.
We just chill. And so we
watch a movie, have some popcorn.
Yeah, I don't know what we were doing. Maybe the girls were swimming. It was nighttime. It was super nice outside. We were all no, we weren't. I was out there. We're like, you came out, and all of a sudden I pointed up to the sky. I said, "What is that?" And it was this long. It looked like a snake.
Yeah,
floating through.
it looked like a chain of lights that was going straight up in the air. Now, at this time, I didn't know what Starlink was.
Me either, had no idea, and I'm not plugged in.
And Garrett
like
didn't
that.
either. Garrett's like, "What the hell
I'm
is
on
that?"
YouTube. I don't even watch YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's filming it. I'm thinking, we got great UFO footage. This is unbelievable.
And it was unbelievable, though.
So
right?
then Garrett told the rest of the story. You text your friend.
I text my friend. He immediately, within like a split second, is like, "That's Starlink." And I was like, "God damn!" I was like, "Keith, it's Elon." I think he said, "Hi, Elon," back to me. He's like, "That's Starlink."
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is nuts though, because it looked like it disappeared right over our house. And B, we were like, okay, so I saw
it looked like it was in our airspace. That's what was weird.
What's super weird is I told you that like 2 summers ago, 2 summers ago, I was at Disney World and I'm at Epcot drinking a beer in Ireland. It's actually Florida. And I'm like by myself and I just see a rocket lifting off. And I'm like, that's Elon. I knew he was like spinning SpaceX. And I was like, that's Elon. I'm drinking a beer. And like, dude, people are just walking. Nobody's looking at this. Elon, this human is sending a rocket to space. Finally, I was like, hey, is anybody looking? And everyone's like, oh my God. So then we're in Oklahoma City a couple weeks ago, and Starlink's flying over the pool.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, dude, this is freaking me out. Elon's finding me everywhere. Like, so that was nuts.
Then we have a conspiracy theory of you and Elon now.
No, well, I mean, it was just the fact that like he had this thing floating through our airspace.
Right. It was very
He's
cool.
touching our lives everywhere we go.
Right. It was very cool to actually get to witness Starlink. I said, I knew he was shooting satellites up, but I didn't know what they looked like.
And it was fascinating.
It was super fascinating. It was just like a string of lights.
Here's 2023
going up, and then it comes kind of looks like it's coming over our house and then just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun.
Well, hey, I wanted to just plug this really fast. It's amazing. It's called Encounters, 4-part docuseries on Netflix. It's super intriguing. All the UFO, alien stuff, UAP that's coming out now, it has to be so high level. So it's cool because, so much is coming out. It has to be top notch. I don't know if you remember this, and it was such a devastating event, but Fukushima, where the earthquake happened, the tidal wave came in, the tsunami hit the power plants. Right. Did you recall the fact that there was UFO sightings while that was happening?
No.
Yeah, which, there's a whole episode about how UFO have been around nuclear power plants since we found them, right?
Right.
Since the beginning.
Disarming missiles.
Yeah, doing all sorts of weird shit. Watch this thing, dude. But while that was happening, there was a formation of UFOs that were flying around and then all came together, became one, and flew away. And millions of people have seen this. It's incredible footage.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say that, like, dude, our next shows are going to be awesome. 2023, the fact that we saw that made me think that Starlink, I thought, this is 2023, man. This shit flying through our backyard.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. I was a little disappointed it wasn't a UFO. I was hoping it was a UFO, but it wasn't.
Me too.
But anyway, listen, we got to get out of here. So we love
eat dinner.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. We are back.
It's a special group that listens to Life After Life. So thank you guys.
Yeah, we really appreciate you taking your time this evening. You guys could have been watching TV or playing with your kids or doing something like that, but you chose us.
Listening to us, two apes in here trying to make it.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, you guys, love you. Peace out. Take care.